It's a Wally Jolly Christmas. We're back for more Vlogmas fun, and this is actually a throwback. So we had filmed a whole series of vlogs, or cooking videos. To do all of our fall favorite recipes, and then we just kind of took November off and never actually put the video up.
But you can never have too much pumpkin spice.
It's true. These are all super delicious, like pumpkin recipes, but we love to cook them all winter long. So we're gonna flash back to that so you guys can get a little taste of fall in Vlogmas. And we're back! And because it is our favorite season of the year, it's time to cook our favorite recipes of the year. So we wanted to share with you 3 of our favorite pumpkin recipes today. So get ready for all the fall goodness. Alright, so the first recipe we're starting out with today is one of my favorites, and it's perfect because it is definitely sweater weather today. It's nice and cold, kind of a little rainy, definitely very gloomy. Feels like fall, so we are ready to start enjoying all of our fall favorites. So these recipes I'm going to share with you are all with a pumpkin base. So really you probably need about 2 cans of pumpkin to make the 3 recipes that we're going to be sharing over the next week, and you do want to make them like relatively close to each other just so your canned pumpkin can last through all of them. So we're gonna start with our pumpkin lasagna today. So I've already got my meat going. So this is just a pound of Italian sausage. Got a medium red onion in there. You can use any sort of onion that you want. We just had a red onion here. And some nice fresh garlic. So about 4 to 6 cloves of finely diced garlic in there. So that's really starting to smell.
We used the nice Trader Joe's frozen because our fresh garlic didn't work out today.
Yeah, we really love the frozen garlic from Trader Joe's.
It's good to have emergency garlic frozen and ready to go.
Really nice. Okay, so I've got this all ready to go. Now I'm gonna add in my tomato sauce. So normally I would make my own tomato sauce, but we're just feeling a little lazy tonight, so we're gonna use some of this Newman's Own. Because this is a tomato basil, I'm not gonna add any additional seasoning, but you could just take plain tomato sauce and then add in some garlic, basil, oregano, all that Italian herb goodness. So we're gonna put this in there and let it simmer up to make our sauce. Probably not gonna use the entire bottle, but close to. So we are gonna get this all nice and mixed up with our sauce. And let that simmer. And then we're actually gonna add in a little red wine as well. That's my secret to really bringing these flavors out and making it taste extra, extra yummy. So nice Italian red. So we're gonna mix some of that in there. You don't wanna overdo it, but just enough to taste, and add a little bit of liquid. Oh yeah, you can already smell that coming through. All right, so we are gonna let this simmer and just kind of boil off some of the liquid. And that'll be perfect to use as our meat sauce in our lasagna. So while that's simmering, I had a cup of pumpkin over here, which actually I ended up using an entire can because you're gonna go ahead and strain it to get some of the liquid off, and you can see how much liquid came off. And this is a can of the Trader Joe's pumpkin. So you are gonna lose quite a bit of liquid. A can of pumpkin is about 1.5 cups. So I actually ended up using the entire can, and it's coming out to about 1 cup. So we've got our pumpkin, and we're gonna mix that with our egg yolk and some chopped spinach. So I just have the Trader Joe's organic chopped spinach from the freezer section. We're gonna mix that up, and then we'll be ready to start layering up our lasagna. All right, so in this bowl we have mixed in 1 container of our frozen spinach, 1 egg, a little bit of salt, and then we added in our 1 cup of strained pumpkin. And while I was doing that, Mark was busy over here. He has, this is actually tofu. So because Mark has a cow's dairy allergy intolerance, we actually use tofu instead of ricotta cheese in our lasagna. So you just take a block of tofu, drain all the water, and then just mash it up. So that works really great as a replacement for ricotta. And then we shredded up a block of actually a goat's milk mozzarella cheese. Normally we would use Daya or maybe like a goat's cheddar or something like that. This was an awesome find. So we're excited to try this goat's milk mozzarella. So you're gonna shred up.
Found that at Sprouts, and it's actually from a Wisconsin cheese place. So, ooh, this should be good.
Should be good. So
I gotta try some.
So you're gonna shred up a block of that and use about half of that and mix it in with the ricotta / tofu. And now we're gonna layer everything up. All right, so we're gonna put down a layer of sauce. We have a nice oiled casserole dish here. So we're gonna put a layer of sauce down on the bottom just to kind of help with our noodles, make sure those cook really well. And you can be pretty generous with this because there's a lot of ingredients going into this. All right, so then over here we have our lasagna noodles, and this time we are using the Jovial gluten-free pasta. So they just boiled for 4 minutes, so they're not like super soft. We actually took them and put them on a damp towel and covered them just so that they wouldn't curl as much. So we're gonna lay these on here. And now we're gonna start adding in our other ingredients. Do a layer of our spinach pumpkin mixture. Add in a little bit of our tofu mozzarella.
Our ricotta layer.
And then some more sauce, and we're just gonna repeat until we've used up all of our ingredients. All right, so we've got it all layered up. That is a fully loaded lasagna. I did about 4 layers, and then I like to do 1 more layer of noodles on top with a little bit more sauce, and then add the rest of my mozzarella so it's nice and cheesy and bubbly on top. And we're gonna put that in the oven for between 35 to 40 minutes, and then let it cool for about 15 before we cut it open. All right, and there it goes. And it is good to put a pan underneath because that will get pretty bubbly. So if you don't want to have to clean your oven, just good to put a pan underneath so you don't have all of the boil over.
And oven's at 350.
So 350 degrees for 35 minutes. And that is a delicious fall lasagna.
Whoa.
Cannot wait to dig into that. One of the best things about lasagna is it does take a little while to cook. One of the best and the worst things, I guess. But I was able to sneak in a workout while we were waiting for dinner to cook. And now look at that. Perfection.
Wow.
And it tastes even better after a workout. We are continuing along in our pumpkin cooking. So this morning it's cold and chilly and feeling like fall, so we're gonna make some homemade pumpkin spice lattes. So I have 2 cups of my almond milk in here, and I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of organic pumpkin and 1 to 3 tablespoons of sugar. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil, and then we'll top it off with some vanilla and some pumpkin pie spice and mix in our coffee.
So it wanted half a cup of coffee.
To 2 cups of pumpkin cream, so we'll see.
I mean, it looks like a good...
It smells really good.
And not as much coffee in there, so I'll probably add this to some existing coffee. There, Ian's going for it straight up.
Room squat.
Room squat.
That's my hocus pocus mug. So then you would put whipped cream on top and top with some more pumpkin pie spice, but since we're dairy free,
not gonna do that. No.
All right, here we go. Oh, it's really hot. That's pretty good.
Yeah?
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
I like the wind effect on your hair though too from this position.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad.
What?
Hey, Dad. I already did a bit of my hot dog.
Oh yeah, you had some pumpkin spice hot cocoa. We got these good pumpkin pie marshmallows.
Yeah.
I always have a pumpkin spice hot cocoa.
Yum. Yummy.
They're good. All right, well, nothing goes better with a homemade pumpkin spice latte than a homemade apple cider donut. We made these with our Radish Kids Fall Favorites kit, and they're amazing. So, This is a perfect start to a fall day.
Yum.
Mm. Mm, 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 mm.
You get a donut too, huh?
Continuing on in our pumpkin cooking tonight, I'm gonna make one of my favorite fall recipes. It is pumpkin gnocchi. So this is pretty easy to make. Again, you're gonna use your pumpkin puree. So we need 1 cup of pumpkin puree, and it needs to be pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling. And then 2 teaspoons of coarse salt, a 1.5 cups of flour. We like to use the 1-in-1 Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. 1 egg yolk, so just the yolk, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. So we're gonna mix that all up to form our dough, and then we'll turn it into gnocchi.
Along with your gnocchi, you can do anything you want, really. Sometimes we do bacon, sometimes we do some Italian sausage. Tonight we're doing chicken, so I've browned that up over here using the Trader Joe's garlic salt.
All right, so here's all my wet ingredients mixed together. And just a note on this recipe, for our lasagna, we pre-drain the pumpkin to get some of the liquid off, but this one you actually want all that extra liquid in because it's gonna help with your dough. So I've got all of that mixed together, and now I'm going to just slowly add in my flour. And it's about 1.5 cups, but this is where you wanna slowly add it in and just really mix it and see how your dough starts to form, because you might not need a full 1.5 cups. So it's important to just kind of watch as your dough comes together, because you don't want it to be too dry. All right, so I've got my nice ball of dough, and I'm just gonna kind of knead it out. And that's why you wanna watch your flour, because you're gonna do this on a floured surface. So you're gonna get some more flour in your dough in the kneading process. So you really wanna make sure you don't over flour it in the bowl. But this is looking perfect. All right, so now I'm just going to divide this into 3 small balls, and then I'm going to roll these out into ropes and cut them up into our gnocchi. So I have this fancy little gnocchi board. I just ordered it off Amazon, but this thing has come in handy so much. We make a lot of gnocchi in this house. So if you don't have one of these, you don't need one. You can just use a fork to make the grooves in it, and you can just use a knife to cut them out. But I am gonna use my gnocchi board for this. So I'm just going to roll these out into some fairly thin ropes. And we are working with gluten-free flour, so it can be a little bit more temperamental in the rolling process, so you just have to kind of work very gently with it. All right, so I've got my 1 long roll here, and I'm going to just take this and kind of chop it up, and like about, thumbnail size, but you should be able to get about like 10 to 12 per roll. And then I like to take them and just roll them down my gnocchi board, so it gets those nice grooves off the gnocchi board. And that looks perfect. All right, so there's all my beautiful gnocchi. It's ready to go, so we're just gonna toss it in the pot, and you wanna throw it into some hot boiling salted water, and it really doesn't need to cook that long, just until they float to the surface.
There's our salted boiling water.
All right, while that's going, I'm gonna take about 4 tablespoons of butter. This is probably closer to 5, it's just what we had left on our stick. But I'm gonna melt that down, and then I'm gonna add in a couple fresh sage leaves and about 2 cloves of crushed garlic, and saute that up. And then once my gnocchi starts to float to the top, we'll spoon that out, put it into the pan, fry it up, and add back in our meat, and we'll be ready for dinner. All right, so now my gnocchi's starting to float to the top, and I've been sauteing this around, and I'm gonna take my sage leaves out. They're really just in there to add some flavor to the garlic butter. So I think I'm ready to pull these out and start spooning in my gnocchi. All right, so those are looking perfectly browned. You really want them to kind of brown up on both sides. So now you can add your meat back in, which I like to do, and just kind of absorb some of the extra butter that's in there, or you can just pour this over your meat, however you like to do it. But I am gonna add our chicken back in and just kind of warm it up and saute it around a little bit with the gnocchi. All right, and there is my delicious dinner, and I like to top it with a little bit of like Parmesan, or if you have like another dry like goat's cheese or other non-dairy cheese that you like to use. But since we have fresh Parmesan in the house, I'm using Parmesan, and that looks delicious.
Amazing.
Perfect pumpkin goodness. All right, well, it's time for our final fall favorite pumpkin recipe. So this is a classic in our family. We've been doing it for a long time, but this is a pumpkin chili. So the real key ingredient to pumpkin chili is some pumpkin puree, and this is actually from our garden this year. This was our pumpkin. I roasted him up and turned him into puree. And pumpkin beer. So we actually use the Holly Daily Patchy Waters pumpkin ale. So good, but that's really the key, is the pumpkin beer. And then you can really add in whatever you want. I'm putting in some ground beef with some onion. These are garden fresh tomatoes and garden fresh jalapeno. And some garden fresh zucchini. And then I'm gonna put in 1 can of tri-bean blend. Normally I do 2 of these, but since I'm adding the zucchini today, I'm only gonna do 1. And then I'm gonna do an extra can of tomatoes, a little bit of tomato juice. And then the third special ingredient is you top it with a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. You don't wanna go crazy with this, just a little bit. So I'm gonna get this all mixed up in the crock pot, and we'll have yummy pumpkin chili tonight. All right, I'm gonna let this cook on high for about an hour, and then we'll move it over to low for the rest of the day. And we like to let it cook for about 8 to 10 hours. But we're gonna have delicious fall chili on a cold, snowy October day. All right, it's chili time. This turned out so good. It's like chunky and vegetable-y and like the perfect chili consistency. This is definitely a fall favorite, like staple in our house every year. We used to make it just 1 time a year on Halloween night, and now I think this is the 3rd time we've had it already, and it's not even Halloween.
No. So is that jalapeno? You said you thought the jalapeno was gonna make it too spicy, is it?
It's perfectly spicy and perfectly sweet. That's why I love this chili recipe, is it's just very, very balanced. It's not too acidic and it's not too sweet.
Yeah.
It's just really good. And you can use whatever meat you want. Usually we do ground turkey, but we did ground beef this time. It's so good. And recently this year, we've been doing pumpkin muffins with it as well. So these are the Simple Mills brand pumpkin muffins, which Simple Mills makes the best pancake and muffin mix. And then of course, gotta have a glass of our Holly Daily Patchy Waters pumpkin ale. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. These are all of our awesome pumpkin recipes that we have. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some of these this fall. Let us know down in the comments down below if you have a favorite pumpkin recipe that you have, or if you try any of these and they become a new favorite for you. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed for more fall fun coming your way on our channel. This is the wonderful world of Walter, who is running around and having a good time. And we love you just the way you are. Bye!
Molly, come here.
Bye.